August the 13th. Cumulative revelation. Flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. Matthew chapter 16, verse 17. Since the New Testament represents an advance on the Old, may we speak of Revelation as progressive? It all depends on what we mean by that word. If our meaning is simply that God's Old Testament utterances, however diverse, all contributed in one way or another to his build-up for the coming of his Son, the word is acceptable enough. But much liberal theology has used the word progressive to express the idea that the history of Revelation is really the history of how Israel's thoughts of God evolved from something very crude, a tribal war god, through something more refined, a moral creator, to the conception of God taught by Jesus, a loving Father, and has set forth this idea in such a way as to imply that Christians need not bother with the Old Testament at all, since all that is true in its view of God can be learned from the New Testament, and all the rest of what it says about him is more or less false. But this is not so. God was certainly amplifying men's knowledge about himself throughout the revelationary process, but the idea that what was revealed later contradicts and cancels what was revealed earlier is wrong. So is the widespread neglect of the Old Testament, to which this idea has led. The New Testament revelation always rests on the Old as its foundation, and to remove the foundation once the superstructure is in place is the surest way to dislodge the superstructure itself. Those who neglect the Old Testament will never make much of the New. Later revelation, far from conflicting with what had gone before, presupposed and built on it at each stage. This idea is best expressed by calling the revelationary process cumulative rather than progressive. Can parents learn anything from God's cumulative revelation to his people about the way to bring up their children? Lord, help me to keep building a true picture of you from your revelation.